So with the market drop on Friday, there's still a positive side to all this. We still earned our distributions. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to update my spreadsheets for all of my positions and get my new average price per share for each. And don't forget, next week, pretty much all of the YieldMax ETFs will go weekly. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today I'm going to update my spreadsheets as we did earn our distributions this week and find out where I'm at in my positions of each one of those, because we did have a big red day on Friday, as you can see here on SPY and on Bitcoin. So I want to try to find a little bit of positive in all of this, and that is the fact that we did still earn our distributions. And come next week, we're going to get paid out weekly for the previous ones that were labeled as Group A, B, C, and D. So we'll get a distribution for each one of those come next week and every week thereafter until they change or say otherwise, along with the weeklies, of course. But with this pullback on Friday, I've got to try to find some positive, right? And of course, bringing in some extra money into my pocket is always a positive thing for me. So let's just go and slide right over to my spreadsheet and let's get started. All right, so here we are on my spreadsheet, and currently we're looking at PLTY. Now, Group B actually paid out this past week. Now, next week, we'll have all of them paying out. Group A, B, and C, and D, right? But keep in mind, next week would have been for Group C. So Group C should actually get paid out for that full 4 weeks, right? And the ones that were in Group D should actually get paid out for 3 weeks. And then the ones that would have been in Group A should actually be paying out for about 2 weeks, if that makes sense. Because next week, since they all will be paying, Groups C, D, and A should have a little bit more beef to them, right? And then after that point, each one will be for just the single week, okay? So just wanted to throw that out there before we get started on my spreadsheet here. And this spreadsheet, of course, and I've mentioned before, this is available in the pinned comments and in the descriptions below, where you can get a copy of it and then you can use it to help track your positions in some of these high yield ETFs. And basically what it does is you can enter in your purchase positions that you have made, and you enter in your individual distributions for each of those. And of course, if you are selling any options and earning some premium, you can enter that into this table on the end over here. And what this sheet will do is it will give you the total number of shares that you have accumulated. Whether you're buying or selling, it will keep track of that. It will give you your average purchase price, right? And this is just your purchase price, right? Your average purchase price, which is off of just this table here on this left-hand side. So that's just the average of your purchases. This does not take into account of any of your distributions that you may have earned. Your total capital you spent, it'll also give you how much in distributions you've earned. And if you are selling any options and earning some premium, you will see that number here as well. It'll also give you your total market value, and that is just the value of your position itself at the current price. Your adjusted total capital, which does take into account of those distributions. It removes that out of the cost that you've spent for this position to help generate you the real price per share. And this is just your adjusted average price per share. So what it will do is it will take your total capital that you've spent. It'll also remove out the distributions and any premium, if you have any, out of that total capital that you've spent. And then it will take that and that will give you your adjusted capital invested, right? And that divided by the number of shares you have will give you your adjusted average price per share, or your real price per share is what I like to call it. Now that will help you to calculate your percent earned here. And this is how much you have earned back in your position, right? Now once that's 100% or more, then you will have earned back all of your invested capital, right? Your total unrealized gains and your total unrealized gains value. This is if you were to sell your shares at the current price. And for PLTY, for this example, the current price here is $60.06. That gets pulled straight from Google Finance. And if you were to sell all your shares, whatever is in this field over here under the number of shares, in my case 37, at that current price of $60.06, and accounting for any distributions or premium you've earned, then this is the amount that you actually would clear. And that is selling all your shares, right? So in my case, selling all 37 shares at that $60.06 and accounting for my distributions I have earned, I will clear $1,654.65. That is not on top of the distributions that I've earned. That is the total amount that I would earn. So in this case, selling my position in PLTY, I would clear $1,654.65. So pretty cool. It just shows that at my current position, if I was to bail, I would not be losing money. I would actually make a little bit of money here. So if you don't have a way of capturing or calculating what your real price per share is, then you're welcome to get this sheet to help you do that. But if you do have a way, definitely please make sure you are calculating that, as that is what's going to help you to understand where you are actually at in your position. Because in my current state, when I take into account of my distributions I've earned and the capital I spent, I'm actually at a real price per share of $15.34, even though the current price being at $60.06, right? So that is why I am showing that I am currently up, because if I was to sell those shares, I would actually make a little bit of money. So now let's just go right into updating my spreadsheets here in my positions of the ones I do have. And I'll go through the ones I have for YieldMax, Defiance, and RoundHill, as I have entered in all of the ones I do currently own. Some of them are a nice size and some of them are just a few shares, right? But it is still money coming into my pocket, and we'll get to see which ones are actually in the good and which ones I am down on. So starting right here off with PLTY, we did earn a distribution on 10/9, and that distribution amount was 3.2847. How many shares? I can account for all 37 shares because I enter in the X date, and that X date means that if I own the shares before this date, and that is before, not on that date or before, but only before that date, then I can account for all those shares. Well, I have not purchased any of PLTY in a while. As you can see, all of these purchase dates over here are all before 10/9. So I can account for all of my shares, which in this case is added up right here at 37 shares. So at 37 shares, my $15.34 real price per share now becomes $12.05. So I am whittling away at it for sure. That is great. So even on a red day, I'm still seeing some positive moves in my high yield ETFs. All right, let's just swing right over to NVDY. Here we are on NVDY. I've got a real price per share on NVDY for $14.91. The current price of NVDY is $15.76, and I've got 71 shares. So let's enter in the distribution for NVDY, and that also was on 10/9 for 0.7954 for the distribution per share. How many shares can I account? All of my purchases are before 10/9, so I can account for all 71 shares. Therefore, $14.91 real price per share becomes $14.11. So that one is still currently in the good. That if I were to sell all of my NVDY shares at $15.76, I would make $116. So currently I am still positive on NVDY. Let's go to ULTY. Here we are on ULTY. For ULTY, we got a current price of $5.31. I've got 150 shares, and my real price per share is $5.13. So currently, I'm still good. But we do get to enter a distribution here as well. And for ULTY, the X date was 10/9, and we earned 0.0904. I can account for all shares because they were all before 10/9. Therefore, my real price per share from $5.13 becomes $5.04. Again, lowering it down little by little, but that's the name of the game for me. Get this thing down, paid off, and then I can start earning my distributions free and clear. Next in line is YMAX. For YMAX, I've got 758 shares. Current price of YMAX is $12.43. Even though my purchase price per share is $18.66, my real price per share is $9.47. So still looking pretty good for YMAX. But let's just go ahead and let's enter in the distribution that we did earn. And that X date also is 10/9, and the amount was 0.1470. I have not purchased any, so I can account for all 758 shares. So therefore, my real price per share of $9.47 now becomes $9.32. And as you can see, if I were to sell all my shares, I would then earn $2,358.11. Again, this one is profitable because if I were to sell, I would still make money. So far, all of them have been profitable, and we're moving on. Next in line, BIGY. Now, BIGY, I do not have a very big position, no pun intended, but I still do track it. So let's just go ahead and quickly enter this one. The X date is 10/8, and the amount was 0.5288. Even though the purchase price per share being at $50.62 and the current price being at $51.20, my adjusted average price per share, or my real price per share, is $46.38. But let's enter in those 11 shares and see what it changes to. So that $46.38 now becomes $45.85. And again, if I were to sell my shares at the current price, I would make $58.81. So again, this one is still in the green. And moving on to SOXY. And SOXY, same thing, very small position, but I still earn a distribution. So let's enter that. That's on 10/8, the amount being $58.95, and that's 0.5895. And my real price per share here is $46.22. So when I enter in my 9 shares, what does that become? $45.63. And a current price of $55.93. I'm definitely in the good on this one. So if I were to sell my shares at the current price, I would clear $92.73. So far, all of my positions are profitable if I were to sell. And let's just keep moving forward. We did not earn anything on MSTY, but as you can see, my adjusted price per share is $1.11. I'm so close to getting this one paid off. But if I were to sell my shares at the current price of $12.98 up here, then I will earn $5,638.32. So MSTY is profitable. Now for CONY, as you can see, at the current price of $7.11 and my real price per share being $7.16, I am slightly above the current price of $7.11. So therefore, if I were to sell my shares at the current price of $7.11, I would lose $13.38. So for CONY, I'm currently not profitable, right? Now the market did drop, of course, so that did bring that current price down. But so far, I am profitable on all of them except one, being CONY. So let's just move forward and we'll see how many others I'm profitable or not profitable on. Now next week, I'll be able to actually enter a distribution in for CONY, and that will definitely lower my real price per share here and hopefully flip this negative to a positive, because I am only 5 cents per share above the current price of CONY. So if CONY stays here or goes up and we get our distribution next week for CONY, and that will be for 4 weeks, right? Because it's been 4 weeks since we've been paid for CONY. So I'm hoping and looking for a distribution amount that will bring my real price per share under the current price of CONY, unless CONY continues to drop. And if so, then it is possible I will still stay negative on it. But I am at least bringing my real price per share down so that when CONY does turn around, it will make me profitable at that point. So no updates on CONY, but I am down in CONY. Moving on forward to SMCY. No updates on SMCY, but if I were to sell my shares at the current price of $16.17, I would be profitable because I would make $80.94. So SMCY is profitable. AMDY. So AMDY, current price being at $9.71 and my real price per share being at $8.70, I am currently profitable. And if I were to sell my shares, I would make $826.57. So we do not have any distributions for AMD this week. So there's no updates, but I am profitable even in AMD. And that's pretty surprising, just to be honest. And that wraps up all of the YieldMax ETFs that I do have. So let's move right over and let's check out the ones I have for RoundHill. And starting off RoundHill here with QDTE. I have a total of 155 shares. My purchase average price is $42.34, but my real price per share is $29.42, with the current price of QDTE being $34.36. I am currently green in the position, but we get to enter in our distribution for this week, and let's just see what my real price per share changes to. All right, so for QDTE on 10/9 was the X date. It paid out 0.204112. Now you'll see this big long number, and it will round for the display. The display only has 4 decimals, but this is a 6 decimal place number. Does not change the value. It's only the view part of this, right? So when I hit the enter, you'll notice this will just be 2041. See? But if I do click to highlight it, you'll see up here in the number, it is still carrying that full 6-digit number, 0.204112. So just to let you know that this number could have actually more decimal places than is actually shown. But that full number is what is being used to do the calculations. How many shares can I account for? Well, I can count for all 155 shares. So that $29.42 real price per share will now become $29.21. So if I were to sell all my shares at the current price, I would make and clear $798.09. So therefore, this one too is profitable. Now moving to XDTE here, and you can see this is a very small position. I made one purchase and I just didn't touch it anymore. I was just getting too many going at one time, and I had to focus on getting some of them at least paid off. And then once I get those paid off, maybe I'll look to actually start building some of these other ones up eventually. Current price of XDTE is $42.89. My purchase share price is $46.85. But I have earned some distributions, so therefore my real price per share is $40.17, which is under the current price per share of $42.89. So therefore I am profitable in this position. Let's go ahead and enter in that distribution for XDTE, and let's find out what that new real price per share is. So on 10/9, we earn 0.211523. How many shares? All 5 shares. So my 4017 becomes 39.96. So if I were to sell all my shares at the current price of 42.89, I will earn $14.65. That is a positive number, so therefore even this small position that I only made one purchase but have been earning those distributions and not reinvesting at all, really, right? I just made the one purchase. Even then, I am profitable. Not much, but of course, I also don't have much in it. So moving on forward, we have IWMY, and this is the one with Defiance. And the 3 that I have with Defiance here were some of the first ones I got into. After about a month is when they actually ended up doing the reverse split. Now, I've talked about that in a previous video, and as you can see right here, reverse split 1 for 3. So for every 3 shares I had, they gave me 1 share back. So as you can see, I originally had a total here of 1,500 shares. When they did the reverse split, I'm only left with 500 shares, right? Because that's 1,500 divided by 3 is 500 shares. So that's what it left me with. And that's what happens when you get a reverse split, right? The price of the stock increases by whatever that split was, but your share count decreases by also that same number. So I currently have a total of 551 shares. The current price of IWMY is $22.13. My purchase share price average is $42.31. And you can see by that reverse split and that price going up so much, but then coming right back down, really hurts me on my purchase price per share. But what has helped me is those distributions I have earned. In this case, $13,172.99, but I have invested $23,000, right? So that helps me to generate my real price per share of $18.40. That is under the current price of IWMY. But we did earn a distribution, so let's enter that and let's find out what my real price per share changes to. So that X date is on 10/9. The amount was 0.2311. How many shares? I can account for all 551 shares. So my real price per share being $18.40 now becomes $18.17. Again, coming down, lowering my risk, and if I were to sell out of IWMY, I would still be profitable. I would make $2,181.59 for selling at the current price of $22.13 because I have been earning those distributions as well. So IWMY is profitable. Moving on to QQQY, but as I stated before, all of those did that reverse split, right? So I got hit with all 3 of them, and that's the IWMY, QQQY, and the WDTE that we'll do right after this one. And each one I had 1,500 shares, and that reverse split 1 for 3 took me down to that 500 shares on each one. So number of shares I currently have now is 551. My purchase average price per share is $43.91, and the current price of $24.75 does not look good, right? But I have been earning distributions, and therefore that helps to combat some of that share average price of that purchase share average price here. And therefore that helps me to calculate my adjusted price per share or my real price per share to $23, which is under QQQY current price, and therefore I am profitable. But I did earn a distribution, so let's see what my real price per share lowers to. So 10/9, it earned 0.1928. How many shares? All 551 shares. So my $23 real price per share changes to $22.80. So now if I were to sell all my shares at the current price of $24.75 here, I will earn and clear $1,073.09. So even after the reverse split, QQQY, I am still profitable. And the last one for Defiance here is WDTE. As I stated before, it also went through that reverse split. I have a total number of shares of 540 shares. My purchase share average is 48.63, but the current price of WDTE being 32.80 means I am down, but I have been earning distributions. So therefore, that helps to combat that purchase share average and lowers it to my real price per share average being $29.69, and therefore I am under the current price of WDTE of $32.80, and therefore you can see that I am profitable in this position too. Let's go ahead and enter in that distribution and let's see what my real price per share changes to. X date is 10/9. And the amount was 0.2035. Number of shares, the full 540 shares, and therefore that $29.69 real price per share average becomes $29.48. So if I were to sell all my shares at the current price for WDTE at $32.80, I would clear $1,791.91. So WDTE is profitable as well. And the very last one that I have is JEPQ. Now JEPQ is part of JP Morgan, and the current price of JEPQ being $56.33, and I have 147 shares. My purchase share average is $58.23, and I have earned a total of about $2,600 in distributions. So you can see with those numbers there, that does help me to calculate my real price per share, and that is at $39.43. So if I were to sell my shares at the $56.33, which is the current price of JEPQ, I will clear $2,483.86. So JEPQ, profitable. And that wraps up all of my positions that I have. And as you've seen, I am profitable in every single one except one. And the only reason I am down in CONY, as you can see here, I am down $13. That is just mostly because the price of CONY did drop to $7.11, and we have not earned our distribution yet, but we will next week. So I am predicting that CONY will also be profitable after the payout of next week, unless the price of CONY drops dramatically. And that could happen because Bitcoin has been coming down, and that does affect Coinbase. And Coinbase is the underlying of CONY. So I have a total of 16 high yield ETF positions. And that's a lot of positions, and it is a little bit probably too diverse, as some of them don't have many shares in it. So I'm not really putting more money into those. I'm just letting them sit. But pretty much all of them, I'm just capturing those distributions. And if the current price is below my real price per share, then I can purchase and help to lower my real price per share along with earning those distributions. And that becomes a win-win in that situation. But either way, I'm super excited about YieldMax ETFs going weekly, as that will help my real price per share to lower each week rather than having to wait those 4 weeks. And just as you can see, like in CONY, where now I'm showing that I'm actually slightly under, I'm hoping that then it can also keep up with it. And eventually my real price per share should be much lower than the actual price of CONY. Now that's just my opinion, as none of this is financial advice. So again, if you are interested in getting a copy of this sheet, you can check in the pinned comments and or the description to get a link to buy me a coffee, to where you can get access to a copy of this sheet where you can use it to enter your own positions of each of your high yield ETFs that you have. Because being able to calculate your real price per share, in my mind, is the most important part, because this number is what helps you to understand and know where you really stand in your position of each ETF. Because if all you're looking at is your purchase price per share average and the current price per share of that position, then it doesn't look too good for you, right? In this example where CONY is $7.11 and my purchase price per share is $11.78, that's not looking too good at all. But you do earn those distributions, and depending on whether you're rolling them or reinvesting them, that will affect your real price per share. And that's why I only purchase or reinvest those distributions if my real price per share is under the current price of that ETF, so that it can lower my real price per share instead of increasing it. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. I'm excited to see that I am up on every single one of my high yield ETF plays except for one on CONY, and I really think that just has to do with the fact that Bitcoin dropped so hard on Friday, and we will not earn our distribution on that one until next week. So if you enjoy this type of content and you also are invested into any of the high yield ETFs, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button too. As always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next week, where I hope to bring down my MSTY real price per share from $1.11 on down, and then finally have it paid off. Oh, so excited. But until then, Legend out.